Yes, hello, and welcome to another Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, a subsidiary of the Anomalous broadcast from Site 42. As always, I am Dr. Theron Sherman, Site Director here at Site 42 of the SCP Foundation. And as I have done for the last 10.5 months, because the daily streak must remain strong, I am here to open my office door to you, the SCP Foundation staff, to show you this puppy that wants your attention. Every time we start stream, it's like a clarion call now. You hear my voice saying the intro, and then you come interrupt it. You're so excited by the stream. Yes, your public is here. Has nothing to do with me, site director of this site. No, it is just the little baby show featuring Big Ol' Dummy and the star Lil Baby. That's apparently what's going on around here. And so, where was I? So, welcome to Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, a subsidiary of the Anomalous broadcast from Site 42. As always, I am Dr. Theron Sherman, Site Director here at Site 42 of the SCP Foundation. And as we have done for the last 10.5 months and counting, because the daily streak must remain strong, and it will remain strong. We're at least making it to a year for someone who asked. And so, the daily streak must remain strong in that we are going to stream every day so I can answer your burning questions about this dark and mysterious place of employment we call the SCP Foundation. So whether you have questions about the anomalies we contain, the staff that contain them, the group of interest that try to stop us from containing them, or hypothetical containment procedures about anomalies that fall outside of the SCP Foundation's purview, perhaps they're from a different multiverse or pataphysical narrative level, i.e. fandom. Either way, we are here the next 42 minutes, convenient timing, for today's stream. It's a shorty because we're having a little problem here at the site today. But before I can tell you about that, let me get my housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, Dr. Vincent, congratulations on being our #1 most punctual member of today's Containment Hazard Assessment team, i.e. congratulations on being first chatter. Alongside you, Philip November, Chesta Factory, Pardon the Earthquake, Stephen Tombari, Pixel Periton, Titanborn, DJ Busta, Anomalous Hodge. Everyone who I have just named, thank you for being here punctually, and thank you for being members of Site 42 here on YouTube. We appreciate your membership and your service. And finally, Minty Andrea, Noah, Kit, The Mask, David Mata, and 953. Thank you for being here punctually, and thank you for being here just for being you today. So, it's a pretty awkward day around the office. You see, one of the interns was doing an experiment with a newly intook anomaly. The anomaly is called the liminalator. It's rather tricky to say all the liminalator. The liminalator. And so, it was our intention to believe that the liminalator by Dr. Wondertainment would be similar to a SCP-184, I believe it is, which is the room expander. We thought that the liminalator was an aider for liminals, in that it would liminalize the space, so to speak. It would expand it. It would make it so there is more rooms to a room, very House of Leaves, blah, blah, blah. We were incorrect. You see, it was not an inator of liminals. It was an eliminator of liminals. It was the liminal eliminator. That's what it meant by liminalator. And it's not a Dr. Wondertainment toy at all. Someone wrote that on in Sharpie, apparently. We got that from our notes. And so what happens when you erase liminality? When you erase the concept of in-between? The entire west wing of Site 42 is one big room full of bad bitches. And so the entire west wing is within arm's reach of the researcher who flipped the switch for the liminalator. If you enter the west wing of Site 42, which I do not suggest you do right now, it's actually very hard to get out of there, because how do you get out of a space with no middle spaces? There's no going to and from, because there is just space. So we're trying to figure that out right now. And to get our research staff and the anomalies they are trapped in that space with out. Because normally if you're in a liminal space like the black rooms, that's the LACKROOMS and the back rooms. So if you're in a liminal space like the back rooms and there's a monster in there, well, you can go through different hallways to try and run. But what if you and all the monsters are in one space because you're in the LACKROOMS? You lack rooms. There are no rooms. So they're all in the same spot? But they're not. But they are? We're working out the kinks in this scenario. Yes, Titanborn, that is exactly why you were alerted of the, you were woken up by the on-site alarm system, because we did not know how far the liminalator would extend. It seems to have encompassed the entirety of the West Wing. Several sectors are on lockdown. Not that you could get in and out of them without a middle space to be in the first place. So it's been a morning. Someone said you look tired. I feel tired. It's... So anyway, that's the on-site news for the day. Now we will move on to the general Q&A for the next 36 minutes, starting with people who have donated during my intro. 953, thank you for sending a 100 to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am certain they will keep it 100 on your behalf. Onyx, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself some saltwater taffy on your way past the commissary. I recognize the bodies in the water. I need a dock. Yes, and not a dock like going over water on a wooden platform into the water. That's the wrong kind of dock. I need you to get to medical as far away from the water as possible until you get amnestic treatment. Phil of November, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member. Get yourself a nice slice of key lime pie on your way past the commissary. Your first mistake is not getting an inator from Doof. Well, Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated is not a legitimate group of interest in the eyes of the SCP Foundation. Were they adjacent to our multiverse in some manner, perhaps we could figure something out. But now that I say that, I am terrified to look at the search function for the SCP database and see if the name Doofenshmirtz comes up. Yep, that is in fact at least one mention of Doofenshmirtz, but it's on Pighead's author page, so that doesn't count. Although apparently, yes, it very much seems that we only mention Doofenshmirtz by name once on the wiki, and it is in an author page. So, does not count. Okay, that saves me a lot of fear. I was very scared for a moment that I would actively have to deal with a Dr. Doofenshmirtz situation in the SCP universe. I was very worried. Intern Raphael, welcome to Site 42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. Tara Gall, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself a shrimp scampi on your way past the commissary. Doctor, I was in the West Wing of Site 42 when they used the device, and that explains why I can't find my way out. Ah, yeah, okay, so if that is the case, then yes, you can get your shrimp scampi from the commissary once you make it out. Because we don't know exactly how to get out of a place with no middle places. You're just kind of locked for a bit, it seems. See, the LACKROOMS, not a place I want to be. Not a place I'd ever considered existing. But, yeah, it turns out I enjoy rooms and the ability to transfer from one to another a lot. You really find out the things that you're just taking as a given in life when the Foundation experiments are able to take them away from you so thoroughly. You really get some insight into the world that you already should treasure. We could contain speedsters and teleporters in a lack room. Oh my god! 369 Destroyer? That's brilliant. That is a brilliant way. Yes, because they can't go through that middle spot no matter how fast they're going, because they can't go from A to B, because there is only A in the lack rooms. Oh, this is a concept that I really wish I made into an actual SCP article. The liminalator is a great SCP idea. Might be a little boring for the people who activate it, but you're right. For containment procedures, that's brilliant. No, you can't even teleport out because you're teleporting what? To a middle distance to somewhere else? You can't go through the middle distance. We're really cooking here, science gang. We're really cooking today. I am quite proud of my containment hazard assessment team for such a hypothesis. Where'd you go? 369 Destroyer? Oh, you get yourself a pasta of your wishing from the commissary on principle. How would you get them into said box, though? Oh, Titanborn. You hold a hostage. Come on. You think the Flash isn't going to be coming after the girlfriend of the week and running into a box that we then turn on the liminalator and now the Flash is stuck? No, that's superhero things. That's what they do. You put a damsel in there and they just show right up. It's like putting out breadcrumbs for ducks. Damsels are the breadcrumbs of superhero ducks. You get me. 100 stars. Thank you for donating another 100 to today's Containment Hazard Assessment team. I am certain they will continue to keep it 100 at your suggesting. Wouldn't it also contain reality benders? How would they reality bend the middle space? They can't reach out to change stuff, no? So Dr. Vincent, this might not actually work on reality benders because a reality bender can bend a space. So yes, if a reality bender wasn't using their powers, they would walk around the one room because the LACKROOMS. But they could also bend the reality of that space. I would imagine they could bend a middle distance into existence the same way they can walk through walls because they are bending through reality of spatial situations, if they could build a room or take away a room, I'm sure they could create a middle distance or destroy a middle distance. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if a reality bender who conceived of such an idea as this could trap people in the lack rooms themselves as a sort of stasis hold, which would be rude. Because then it's not powered by a liminalator, it's powered by the consciousness of the person who chooses to do it, so you can't get out until that person is defeated somehow. Intern Officer J and intern Hellpole Girly. Welcome to today's stream. Thank you for subscribing, and welcome to Site 42 staff because of your subscription. But what about the bad bitches filling the room? What about them? Listen, just pit. Because of the liminalator, everyone in the West Wing is trapped in the lack room. And in the lack rooms is just one big room. It's full of bad bitches. Now, some of those bad bitches are staff members with attitudes we respect. They might be loose cannons, but they get the job done. Some of those bad bitches might be anomalies that are planning to end their lives, which we're not as much of a fan of. So the question becomes, all right, well, how do we get them out of there? Because as long as they're all in that one big room, and that one big room is full of bad bitches, both the ones we like and the ones we don't, well, it's going to be chaos. So we have to find a way to get a signal into there to disrupt the liminalator, or at least get someone in that one big room to hit the liminalator button. Terragal, welcome back to Level 1 Researchership here at Site 42. We appreciate your newly reminted membership and service. Dr. Sherman, what if you were to poke SCP-049 before it can touch you? For example, you managed to get behind it and poke it. What would happen? Would it have the same effect of it touching you or not? Its anomalous death touch is not limited to its hands. So yes, you would die if you touched it with your bare skin. Death. Philip November, thank you for donating again to say, I joined Madman Fenrir's Patreon, got on their Discord, and saw a guy talking about SCP, so I sent him Site 42's regards. Also, look up The Joy from the Amazing World of Gumball. The shiz is hilarious. Anomalous, you mean? Well, first of all, I don't know who a Madman Fenrir is, but I hope if you're enjoying their work, they make cool stuff. And neat, SCP in the world, and sharing the Site 42 of it all to spread the signal boosters far and wide. Good work. Oh no. We gotta be careful we don't turn into the Jehovah's Witnesses of SCP. I don't feel comfortable in that very bland slacks and shirt and tie combo. It's just not the right fashion choice. Too much like Dr. Gears. Oh, and you wanted me to look up something from the Amazing World of Gumball. Amazing World of Gumball. The Joy is the 4th episode of Season 3. A joy virus infecting the whole school. So, There's some sort of infection. Well, it just seems like a standard viral infection. I mean, anomalous, yes, but handle it with standard protocols. We should be fine. I tried to introduce someone to SCP in Site-42, but he said he wasn't into creepy horror stuff or murder monsters. Well, that is the majority of what we deal with. I mean, very often it's in a comical fashion for funsies, but it's still dark subject matter. And some people just can't handle that even for the fun of it. Cool Man Fight, thank you for your first donation of today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself a steel cut oatmeal on your way past the commissary. Dr. Sherman, we found a treasure chest filled with copper and gold bars, and the treasure chest has your name on it. What are you going to do with it? I'm going to treat it very carefully because it seems like bait. And I do not fall into traps easily. It's not paranoia if you're right. Dr. Sherman, how much is it to become a member? Intern Sheldon. It's been a while since I looked at the membership prices. I know some people tend to crank them up every little while for inflationary purposes, but I have neglected to do that, so my memberships are the same price as when I set them. And those tiers are $3, $7, and $25. And so level 1, level 2, and level 3 on a monthly set, you get the chat benefits, you get the green name, the badges, the slow mode. We don't do a lot of membership prizes and stuff because that would take time away from the work of the streaming and things to do those. So while we appreciate your generosity, even staying tier 1 is just fine. The only goal is to get enough green names to win the battle against the white names. So if you do go a higher tier, then we appreciate it greatly, but don't feel like you have to do so. Can you talk about or give your thoughts on SCP-3000? Well, Intern Gazingo, since I am not a fan of Alzheimer's and memory loss as a concept, and by not a fan, I mean it hits really, really hard and upsets me, not a fan of that work. Squicks me out. Bleh. Not that it's bad, just that I don't like it. If Goku was an SCP, how would the SCP Foundation contain him? We would give it heart disease. That seems to have knocked it out in the past. Then we would, of course, leave it in a medically induced coma, but heart disease. Dr. Sherman, what happens if you put Shy Guys from Mario against SCP-096 because Shy Guys canonically don't have faces? Shy Guy versus Shy Guy. Well, SCP-096 doesn't care if you have a face. It only cares if you've seen its face. So if the Mario Shy Guys see the SCP Shy Guy, the face, then the Mario Shy Guys will not be alive for very long because they are not exactly very competent combatants or durable in any sense of the word. So, it would get nasty. All these guys being shy. Yes, thank goodness, Just Pit, that we did not put them in the LACKROOMS. Imagine all those shy guys in the middle of one big room full of bad bitches. It would be chaos. They would be so embarrassed. Oh, no. Browser, please slow down. Be Librarian, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member, and for making the effort to go through the Ko-Fi, which only takes 3% of your donation for processing fees, rather than the 30% that YouTube takes. So especially for larger donations, going to the Ko-Fi is much appreciated. Thank you for making the effort. Grab yourself a coffee cake on your way past the commissary. Rather than slacks and ties, we're in shorts and Hawaiian shirts. Of course, no two recruiters' shirts are of the same. Well, yes, because then every mission would be interrupted by a who wore it best competition. And that is just a waste of time and resources, when the answer is always me. Time check, we are 19 minutes left in stream, people. 19 minutes left in stream. It's a shorty today, so get your questions in. Dr. Sherman, why are people fraternizing with the anomalies? Half of them are thirsty over non-human ones. Intern Croton. People are not fraternizing, they are thinking about fraternizing. They are dreaming about fraternizing. That doesn't mean they are, because protocols forbid it. And if they did, they know bad things would happen to them. So, while we have to hire a lot of monster fuckers and demon daters, because they are the type of people who are interested in this type of work. Remember, we just talked about a minute ago, not everyone's into horror and scary stuff. Well, the people who are into horror and scary stuff, there is a non-insignificant portion of those that are interested in horror and scary stuff because they want to bone it. But they're not allowed to bone it. It's against protocol. So don't. Intern Try, thank you for your first donation to today's stream. Get yourself a box of Pocky on your way past the commissary. And you didn't send a message with your donation, so simply thank you for your generosity. Random question, what does the floor in that room look like? Not drawing fan art. Are you talking about of my office acoustic booth? The floor of the office acoustic booth is a sort of carpet, I guess. Cool Man Fight, thank you for donating again to say, Dr. Sherman, what's your favorite cookies? All right, so I'm not really supposed to say this as my answer because it is well known in the documentation for SCP-5750 that the SCP Foundation is in open war with the Girl Scouts of America. And, you know, I shouldn't be saying good things about the other side of the war. But man, you put those Thin Mint cookies into the freezer, you can't beat some Thin Mint cookies fresh out of the freezer. It's just too good. It's just too good. It's the perfect little cool crunch. And the mint and the cold go together so well. But yes, that is not my answer because we're totally at war with the Girl Scouts. Read SCP-5750 for more intelligence on that situation. And so I would have to say, you know what? It's not my favorite, but if I'm going to say it is, it's because it gets a bad rap. Oatmeal raisin cookies are awesome, and everyone who hates on them is a loser. Oatmeal raisin cookies rock, especially if they have a little extra cinnamon in them. Mwah. People complaining about oatmeal raisin cookies, leave them alone. They've got a bad rap for too long. They're great cookies. They taste like delightful breakfast cookies. Oatmeal raisin, leave them alone. They're the bomb. Intern sorry, that's Tier now that I read it and unscramble the letters. Intern Tier, thank you for donating again and thank you for sending a message this time. Let me see what you asked. What if you put an SCP-096 photo on SCP-173? Well, SCP-173 is a sculpture that is bigger than a human being. So the question is, where did you put the photo? If you put the photo on 173's top side, you could look at 173's feet. If you put the photo on the feet, you could look at its face. Just avoid looking at the picture. It's not that complicated. 19 minutes left. Am I late? Well, you're late to stream, but it's also an early stream that is short. So your odds of being in here at the last minute were much higher today than usual. Fix Fishy, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as making the effort to go through the Ko-Fi. Grab yourself some lightly fried fish fillets on your way past the commissary. Is it illegal to use the root of your palm while doing the pen trick, or perhaps the thumb? I've been practicing this after your short tutorial. It's a good pastime while reading, and in the absence of a fidget toy. Also, bad bitches in backrooms. Isn't there an SCP like that? So first and foremost, if you find a way to spin it with your pen, with your thumb, I know there's some people who do like a cool around thing with the thumb and the finger holding it. I'm not sure how that integrates into it in a way that I haven't figured out that trick yet. And I don't use the heel of my palm at all. I don't know how you're doing that, but if you are spinning it, then I guess you're doing it right. There's no wrong way to pen spin. Just as long as the pen do be spinning. And secondarily, no. We don't have any bad bitches in the back rooms. Jingle, jangle, jingle, jangle. We have bad bitches in the LACKROOMS. For everyone who wasn't here at the start of the stream, it's very easy to explain. We got a new anomaly in called the liminalator. And we thought it was like a Doofenshmirtz-inator, in that it made things liminal. It was a liminal inator. So we thought it was going to be like SCP-184, expanding rooms, adding rooms, very House of Leaves. But it wasn't. It was a liminal eliminator. It was an eliminator of liminality, which means a destruction of all middle places between you and your destination. So the entire west wing of Site-42 right now is one big room with no exit, hensely called the LACKROOMS, because there are no rooms. They lack rooms. It's just one big room, and all of our bad bitches are inside. Our bad bitch researchers who don't follow protocols perfectly, but they get the job done, damn it. And of course, a bunch of anomalies that were stored in that wing that are now hunting them, which should be very easy since they're all in one big room. All of our bad bitches. So, the LACKROOMS situation, we're not sure how to fix it, but one step at a time. We're working on it. The idea of the Foundation assuming things based on an actual cartoon scientist is funny as hell. Listen, if it were a Wondertainment toy, that would have been what its purpose was. That would have been exactly what it did. We a little assumption off. Our bad. What about in the bathrooms? I would be mortified, Chesta Factory, if we turned on the liminalator in the bathrooms, because then every room is a toilet you can't escape from. Monstrous. Hate that for you, hate that for me. What does Dr. Chair look like for reference? Dr. Vincent, allow me to illustrate to you Dr. Chair. Dr. Chair has posable arms for excellent butt-kicking action. What if the Foundation discovered Thor's hammer, Mjolnir? Well, we would contain it. If we didn't have anybody who would be able to pick it up because no one was worthy, then we would build a Foundation area to lock it down so no one could get to it. I mean, we basically just do what S.H.I.E.L.D. did. They couldn't move the hammer, so they built a site around it to contain it and keep people out. That it was SCP Foundation protocol for sure. They did that. Aren't all rooms bathrooms you can't escape from if you're a prisoner and or an idiot? I mean, if you're a prisoner in the bathroom, then I guess. I'm not... Usually, in a prison, people can escape the bathrooms. Unless we're talking about the capital T, capital B, the bathrooms. Because then, that's a whole different scenario. What about Thor himself? Oh! And don't forget, we already have a version of Mjolnir on the SCP database. We have SCP-8814, codename The Racist's Hammer. SCP-8814 is an anomaly, an anomalous hammer. Now, it is just a claw hammer from the hardware store. It is not a Mjolnir, but it does turn people into racist Super Saiyans, basically. And so, kind of like Mjolnir, not quite. For the story of the liminalator article, where the Foundation, seeing its true anomaly, really wants it back for teleporters and speedsters, but the staff inside wants to break it to escape the LACKROOMS. Well, because then you'd have an exploration log, but it's an exploration log of one room, because there's nowhere else to go. And every time you send people in, I guess you can't send people in either, because there is no middle distance to get in there. And so it would be up to the staff in that place to turn it off and get out. We would have to find a way to reproduce the technology through our research in order to make it something we could activate from the outside to create the liminalator inside. And then we would need a way to stop whoever was trapped inside from being able to turn it off, which, if having the switch outside, is the answer to that, obviously. Yes, there is a fundamental improvement to Foundation tech if we can understand the LACKROOMS. In fact, if we can make the LACKROOMS an efficient technology, it could be every containment problem fixed forever. The problem is probably something like that, like Scranton Reality Anchors, would require some heavy-duty tech and power output, and so it would probably come at a cost that the Foundation could utilize it far and wide. What if the liminalator were in the back rooms? Well, Homeworld, I think that would be a... I've got to imagine that the back rooms as a force of nature or outer nature, whatever they are, I feel like maybe only a section of the back rooms could be liminalated down to one room. But I also think that it's possible that would overtax such a device's power output to the point where it burnt out and failed. Now, what would be the purpose of someone inventing a liminalator? Because my first thought is, okay, what if they were a thief and they wanted to rob a bank and they couldn't get inside the safe, but from outside the safe, they use the liminalator, and then the entire interior of the building becomes one room. Then you could get the money and then turn off the liminalator and you're back outside the safe. That could be it. All right, let me come back to chat. I know we have 5 minutes left, so I need to get these last donations in so I don't miss them. Heats Flamesman, thank you for your first donation to today's stream, as well as being a member. Grab yourself a nice piece of oak on your way past the commissary. Activating transmission. I'd like to take a moment to address you directly, Dr. Sherman. This is not a scientific revolution you have sparked. This is death and finality. Hey, 457, I told you to stay off my damn PC. 457, the only thing we sparked is the bit of food that you get to keep in your cell to keep you alive. Now stay put, or else we get the squirt bottle. Intern Izza, welcome to Site 42 staff. Thank you for subscribing. Terragal, thank you for donating again to say. I escaped the LACKROOMS. As a dragon, it wasn't hard. I just ran fast enough to warp reality. It didn't seem to fix the problem. I think I made it worse. Well, as I said earlier, if you can warp reality, that might get you out. But the problem becomes, speedsters, we know speedsters can go fast enough to warp reality plenty. But the question still becomes, is there a middle place or not? I mean, if you're saying you got out of the LACKROOMS, you were in there and now you're not, then obviously something worked, but we would have to figure out what exactly and how to tune that so that things we wanted to stay in the LACKROOMS would stay. No bad bitches in sight. Well, that's true, Overloaded. They are all in the LACKROOMS. The point is we have to rescue them. Hey, Dr. Sherman, if you were an animal, what animal would you be? Well, in acting classes, when they have you embody an animal to embody its characteristics, I would always end up being cast as a peacock. Yes, I would always play that villain character who swiveled a wine glass and talked very fancy at you. And so, think Maximilian Pegasus, think Vyers from Disgaea, the peacock characters. $369 Destroyer, thank you for your first donation of today's stream as well as being a member. Grab yourself a tuna tartare on your way past the commissary. Who wrote Dr. Wondertainment in Sharpie on it? That is a good question. Perhaps the creator of it wanted to pass it off as someone else's invention. That way it could be, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Mistaken for a prototype and or to take the heat off them. Or to get us to utilize it because we thought we would be able to predict how Wondertainment would utilize such a thing. Yes, Wozcom, since stream is about to end in 1 minute, check out the stream intro at the beginning of the VOD, and you'll have your introduction to the LACKROOMS. A new concept that I am quite horrified by, exhausted by, and need to spend the rest of the day trying to clean up so we can get our bad bitches out of there safely. Dr. Sherman, did you have to take acting classes for 2006 Containment? No, intern Cormac, but that's only because by the time I got to working with 2006, I was already a graduate of the SCP-1417-J theater department. SCP-1417-J, codename the Passive Aggressive Meteorite, is a crash meteorite that is sentient. And if it doesn't sense that it is being studied scientifically, it starts doing destructive pranks in a wider and wider area and with more and more devastating effects. And so even if you're studying it for real, it finds that boring. SCP-1417-J is only happy if it's being very flamboyantly performed at. And so people who work with SCP-1417-J are only allowed to do it if they have prior experience in live theater or public performance and have attended and passed Foundation Training Seminar 43021.102, Improvisational Acting and SCP Containment, 52033.206, Advanced Technobabble, and 83902.101. Science! And so, as a veteran performer of SCP-1417-J's procedures, I was well versed to work with SCP-2006. Now, what you should do, highly recommended, is on this channel after I sign off, listen to our remaster of the SCP-1417-J containment procedures, because the 1417-J containment procedures on this channel, the one from 2021, includes friend of the channel and your favorite SCP YouTuber's favorite SCP YouTuber, Radiger, as well as a vocal performance from Tanhoney, i.e. the author behind SCP-5000. And so with myself, Radiger, and Tanhoney on the case, it was a pretty good read. But now, Site-42 staff, we are at the end of today's stream. And as I do at the end of every stream as a tradition around these parts, I tell you guys my favorite SCPs. I'm not going to tell you that the ones I personally wrote are my favorites. That's cheating. Narcissism even. But if you want to read the SCPs I wrote, you can go to the Sherm's author page in Site-42 Hub on the SCP database. There you can read the SCPs I personally wrote, as well as contributed voice lines or sound effects to. And while you're on my author page, one tab over from the SCPs, you'll find some links. And one of those links is something a lot of people ask about, but then they just don't seem to find, just not determined enough, which is sad. But that's not you guys, Containment Hazard Assessment Team. You are determined, and you will find that link. And while you are there on my author page, you can become a Patreon patron or a YouTube channel member to donate to us monthly. You can do a Ko-Fi or a YouTube Super Chat to donate to us one at a time. Either way, direct donations are the quickest way to keep the lights on for myself and the rest of the Site-42 staff, so we appreciate your efforts and your generosity greatly. And if you are part of the broke gang and therefore cannot donate, do not fret. We, of course, understand the terror of starving artists. We are artists ourselves, we understand. But you are still able to help us out greatly if you are able to be a intrepid member of Mobile Task Force Psi-42, codenamed the Signal Boosters. When you like, share, subscribe, comment, chat, not just for us, but for the SCP projects we support. For instance, remember, tomorrow morning, Decentralized Pictures is doing a live stream on YouTube with some studios, producers of SCP Gallionic, aka SCP the Anime. So, make sure tomorrow morning, afternoon, depending on your time zone, you watch that stream and you say, hey, Dr. Sherman sent me here. Welcome from Site-42. Hell yeah, SCP the Anime. Thank you, DCP, for helping us out. All that kind of stuff. Give them hype. Make them know the SCP community has their back and they will continue to help us out. We'll continue to get bigger and better SCP projects. Mobile Task Force Psi-42, I thank you for your service. You have your orders. Good luck. So, grand finale. My favorite SCPs in no particular order are SCP-3999, SCP-3043, SCP-008-J, SCP-Spooky-J, SCP-5031, SCP-5175, SCP-5320, and SCP-8980. Content warning on that last one. It's a bit of a rough read. Speed round. 3999-3043-008-J, Spooky-J, 503, and 575-5320, Internet 80. Content warning on the last one's a rough read. So, Site-42 staff, this has been another Coffee Break with Dr. Sherman, a subsidiary of the Anomalous broadcast from Site-42. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Be safe, be well, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Golden teeth and a curse for this town were all in my mouth. Only I don't know how they got out, dear. Turn me back into the pet I was when we met. I was happier then, with no mindset. And if you took to me like a gulf turns to the wind, well, I'd have jumped from my trees. A night of dance like the king of the eyesores, and the rest of our lives would have fared as well. The credit song is New Slang by the Shins. Be safe, be well. Stay out of the West Wing until the liminalator is deactivated and the LACKROOMS return to normal rooms. And as always, secure, contain, protect.